Before we begin, please encourage us by subscribing, liking, and commenting. Your support truly keeps us motivated and helps us create more videos for you. It happened over 15 years ago. At that time, I had just finished high school. Since my financial situation wasn't great, and neither was my parents', I gave up on going to college, at least until I could save some money first. So I began looking for work to start saving up. But jobs weren't easy to find for someone my age, especially with just a high school diploma. One of the few jobs I could get was at a convenience store. I eventually landed a position at a store located in another district, quite far from my home. To get there, I had to take the bus every day. Though the commute was long and tiring, I didn't mind much. My mind was set on saving enough money for college. I pushed through, day after day, determined to make it work. Then came the night when everything changed. That evening, just before I was supposed to finish my shift, something went wrong at the store. It was a particularly busy night, and by the time I finally left, it was already 11 p.m., much later than usual. Looking at the time, I realized getting home would be difficult, given how late it was. The buses had stopped running, and the thought of walking all the way home seemed exhausting. Then I remembered a friend who lived nearby, much closer than my place. I figured I could just spend the night there, which would be more convenient, less tiring, and, more importantly, safer. Back then, cell phones weren't very common, especially in poor rural areas. So I found a payphone, called my friend, and asked if I could stay the night. She said yes right away. By the time I left the store, it was around 11:15. I walked toward the main road, hoping to catch a motorcycle taxi. But when I got there, no one was around. I waited for a while, looking around, but not a single driver showed up. It was late, and the road was unusually quiet. I kept scanning both directions, hoping at least one taxi would appear. But after several minutes, there was still no sign of anyone. Unsure what to do, I realized there was only one option left. I had to walk. Luckily, I'd been to my friend's house before and could remember the way. But the route wasn't exactly easy. To get there, I had to pass 3 creepy landmarks: a temple with a crematorium, a school, and a railway track. The total distance was about a 30-minute walk. To be honest, I used to laugh off the ghost stories my friends used to tell me. But now, I was scared. The darkness and eerie surroundings were getting to me. It's true how much the atmosphere can affect your emotions. Just thinking about it made me nervous. I waited a little longer, hoping someone else might be walking the same way so I could have some company. But as time passed, still no one appeared. So I decided to start walking alone. I figured if I kept going, I might get lucky and find a motorcycle taxi along the way, or at least come across someone heading in the same direction, which would help me feel less scared and alone. After walking for about 10 minutes, I crossed a small bridge over a canal and reached the first landmark, the temple next to the crematorium. As soon as I crossed the bridge, the first thing I saw was the crematorium. Soon it will be nearly midnight. The surroundings were pitch black and eerily silent. Only a single dim fluorescent light illuminated the crematorium. The atmosphere was ominous, and a chill ran down my spine. I hurried past the temple and crematorium, glancing left and right, hoping to see someone I could walk with. But there was no one around, no sound but my own footsteps, and no motorcycle taxis in sight either. I had no choice but to keep walking. After another 10 minutes or so, I reached the second landmark, the school. There were a few streetlights, but they were spaced far apart. I stuck to the brighter side of the road and walked quickly, trying not to think about the darkness around me. Soon, I passed the school. My friend's house wasn't far now, I figured I'd already walked more than halfway. Just as I rounded the corner past the school, I came upon the railway tracks, the final landmark. As I reached the area, the atmosphere grew even more unsettling. The darkness was almost suffocating, with hardly any lights except for the faint glow from distant houses. The railway tracks stretched ahead, vanishing into the dark. By now, I was feeling extremely uneasy. I silently prayed I'd come across someone, anyone, to walk with me through this eerie night. Then suddenly something made me jump. I froze. Up ahead in the shadows, I saw a woman standing still. I stood still, heart pounding. She wasn't far, maybe just a few meters away. She was just standing there, alone. Where had she come from? There was no one ahead just a minute ago. Maybe it had been too dark and I hadn't noticed her. I didn't know what to think. I was already on edge, and the dark, eerie atmosphere only made it worse. At first, I tried to stay positive. I told myself there's no such thing as ghosts. If I can see her this clearly, I thought, she must be a real person. There's no way she's a ghost. But something about her made me uneasy. She stood close enough that I could see every detail. A faint light from a nearby house shone just enough for me to get a good look at her. She had pale skin, large eyes, and wore a white maternity dress with tiny floral patterns. She didn't move at all. She held her belly with both hands as if cradling an unborn baby. Part of me was scared, but another part of me wondered. Maybe she's just waiting for her husband to come back from his late shift. There's nothing to be afraid of. Still, I couldn't shake the unease. I quietly passed her, walking along the railroad ties that made my steps easier. The more I looked at her, the more convinced I became. It's probably fine. At least I'm not alone now. And she definitely looks real, I thought as I quietly walked past her. I continued walking, stepping on the ties. 1, 2, 3 steps. My fear started to fade, replaced by curiosity. I turned to take another look at the woman. Sure enough, she was still standing in exactly the same spot. That made me feel better. She's definitely real. She's probably just waiting for her husband. I turned back and kept walking. 4, 5, 6 steps. But then something inside me urged me to look back one more time. Just to be sure. I turned to look back. That's when everything changed. This time, the woman was gone, completely vanished. As if she had disappeared into thin air. I froze. My heart skipped a beat. Where did she go? I spun around, scanning left and right, trying to see where she might have gone. But the path was wide open, and there was nowhere to hide. The only possible way out was around the bend near the school, but it was a long way. There's no way a pregnant woman could have moved that fast without being seen. That's when it hit me. Something was very wrong. She had appeared out of nowhere, and now she'd disappeared just as suddenly. Something wasn't right about that woman. Without wasting another second, I turned and ran as fast as I could. I kept repeating in my head, "Just get to my friend's house. Don't stop. Don't fall. If I fall, she'll get me." I was shaking. Every part of my body was trembling with fear, but I didn't stop. After running for a while, I finally reached my friend's house. I didn't even stop to catch my breath. I ran straight to the door and banged on it as hard as I could. Not long after her father opened the door, I rushed inside and ran straight up the stairs to my friend's room. I collapsed onto the floor, curled up, and shook uncontrollably. My friend rushed over asking what happened. It took a while for me to calm down, but eventually, I pulled myself together and told her everything. When she heard what happened, her face went pale. Because the woman I saw, she was the mother of her friend who lived nearby. She had died just a month ago, hit by a train near the very spot where I had seen her. She'd been on her way to the market early in the morning. No one knew exactly what happened, but it's believed she didn't hear the train coming, and by the time she noticed, she was too heavy to move fast enough because she was pregnant. The impact had been so brutal that she died instantly. But after her death, strange things started happening. People began reporting sightings of a pregnant woman walking near the railroad tracks. Over time, she became known as the pregnant ghost who haunted the area. It didn't stop there. There had been temporary housing nearby for construction workers, but after so many of them saw this pregnant ghost, they got so scared that they packed up and left. The entire camp shut down and abandoned the area for good. After that night, I never walked that path again. Ever again.